with Alert Day coverage now. This is Wave News.
Tonight, many watching the skies on this Alert Day. We've already seen a couple of rounds of heavy rain, and we aren't done with it.
Our storm tracking team is predicting that the thunderstorms will continue tonight as more rounds of rain move into our area.
And the conditions causing a mess for those trying to get home tonight, with a major backup for drivers on the Waterson after a crash near Dixie Highway. And we thank you for watching here at 5. I'm Myra Ansari.
And I'm Brian Schlonsky. We want to get you right over now to Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harnett, who is timing out the rain for us and also forecasting when, Kevin, we will finally be in the clear.
Yeah, it's going to take a little while for that. We're seeing a little bit of a lull downtown. Traffic's still a mess, and that's the case in a lot of places. And we have heavy rain moving in, so bad timing on the traffic backups that we have going on. I'll point out temperatures have been up and down today with these thunderstorms across the region. We've seen some areas in the 90s, some areas like we are now in the 70s, so depends if you're seeing the heavy rain or not. Let's get right to the radar view. First of all, two things to note. Lots of heavy rain and lots of lightning on the map. We'll drill down into the metro. We have a flash flood warning that clips part of northeast Jefferson County. We've already seen flooding where we have had problems with a couple of cars in the road underwater in Charlestown. Again, this flash flood warning is in place until 7:45. I suspect we may see additional warnings, and while the city of Louisville is rain-free with the exception of areas toward Linden and northeast Jefferson County, we have picked up in some cases over an inch of rain in that zone with far lower totals across southern Jefferson County. But you see what's moving in. Notice the lightning with the heavy rain pushing across parts of Washington County, Orange County, southern Crawford and into Harrison. This will be moving in, and as that steam rolls in, it's going to bring heavy rain and lightning to the region. I'll put it into motion, and you can see it's building off of each other. These storms develop what we call outflow boundaries that additional storms develop on. Take the radar off just so you can see the lightning. You've got to seek shelter inside. Let these storms pass, not just the heavy rain threat, but the lightning as well. We'll take it to a scattered about a 30 to 40% chance as we go into that 10, 11 o'clock time frame. Otherwise, keep an eye on the radar. We'll be here with another update coming up in just a few with the 10-day.
All right, Kevin, and of course you can always take the forecast with you on the go with the Wave Weather app. Don't forget, you can also check the weather anytime with Wave Weather Now. That's our 24/7 weather stream. The Justice Department filed a bombshell recommendation in the Brett Hankison case, arguing that Hankison should face no prison time following his conviction for violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights.
Hankison is scheduled to be sentenced next week after months of delays. Wave News reporter Mark Stevens covered Hankison's 3 trials.
Yeah, and Mark, the government's recommendation is the opposite of what was argued during Hankison's trial.
Yeah, the DOJ attorney who signed this recommendation is not the same one who actually tried the case. Last fall, the lawyer who argued the case told jurors that Hankison's decision to shoot blindly through covered windows that night violated LMPD training, shocked the conscience, and broke federal law. But Trump administration official Robert Keenan focuses on the fact that Hankison's bullets did not kill anyone, even though he was also charged with violating the civil rights of Taylor's neighbors in the next-door apartment. His shots went through the wall, nearly hitting those neighbors. The jury acquitted Hankison of that charge. The government's own probation department recommended Hankison serve up to 14 years in prison. But Keenan says the judge should ignore that recommendation. He says Hankison has no criminal record, would be at risk of harm in prison, and even questions whether charges against Hankison should have been brought at all. Keenan recommends the judge sentence Hankison to 1 day in jail and then give him credit for the day he already served, and then spend 3 years on probation. Keenan was also involved in an effort to undo a jury verdict finding a former California sheriff's deputy violated a woman's civil rights. The judge agreed to change that case from a felony to a misdemeanor, but kept the jury verdict in place. He sentenced the deputy to 4 months in prison instead of the 1-year probation the Justice Department asked for. That officer is appealing. Hankison's defense lawyers also disagree with the probation department's recommended 14-year sentence. They blame Kenneth Walker's actions for leading to Hankison's decision to shoot through the covered windows in an attempt to save his fellow officers. They also argued at trial that Hankison could not have violated Breonna Taylor's civil rights because there was no evidence she was alive when he fired his pistol. The judge dismissed that argument. Hankison is set to be sentenced next week. Mark Stevens, Wave News.
All right, thank you, Mark. Mayor Craig Greenberg is responding to the DOJ's recommended sentence for Hankison. He released this statement saying, in part, former Officer Brett Hankison was convicted of a serious federal crime. I believe his actions warrant a serious prison sentence. Since the tragic death of Breonna Taylor, Louisville has taken significant steps towards healing and reform. That work is far from over. I remain fully committed to advancing that work to ensure accountability and safety for all.
Other officer cases in connection to the death of Breonna Taylor still remain open. Kelly Goodlett has not yet been sentenced after agreeing to plead guilty to a conspiracy charge. She admitted to meeting her partner in the case, Joshua James, to discuss what they would tell investigators who were digging into the warrant that was used to enter Breonna Taylor's home back in 2020. James and Kyle Meany still face their own federal charges related to their roles in the Taylor investigation. They successfully challenged the felony charges that the government brought against them, but the government's refiled those charges. The court is still working through additional challenges that the two have raised.
And there's been a number of pieces of legislation put in place since Breonna Taylor's death, including the banning of no-knock warrants in the metro. And the law requires officers to identify themselves and their purpose before serving a warrant. Her death also led to a DOJ investigation into LMPD that highlighted their use of excessive force, invalid warrants, unlawful stops, and discrimination. A negotiated consent decree was dismissed in December by the Department of Justice, ending the federal oversight that was put in place. But the city continues its reform efforts. The city is now searching for an independent monitor to oversee the agreement. And you can see our extensive coverage of the Breonna Taylor case, the protests that followed, and the policy that's changed since over on wave3.com or the Wave News app.
LMPD has arrested one of the 3 young people who they believe is responsible for a double shooting. It happened at the California Park basketball courts. It was back in February. A 14-year-old boy was killed.
And 19-year-old Sean Grady was arrested on a warrant in Indiana this week and arraigned on multiple charges this morning. Wave News reporter Lena Noakes joins us with more on this case. And Lena, how did they trace this back to Grady?
Well, simple forensics, Myra. Ballistics from that February shooting matched a gun seized from Sean Grady in an April traffic stop in New Albany. According to the warrant, Grady and 2 juvenile co-defendants were playing basketball on the basketball court with the victims. 2 of those victims were kids. After about 45 minutes and for no clear reason, the boys went from playing basketball to fleeing for their lives. Multiple surveillance videos captured the moment 2 of the defendants pulled out guns and began to shoot. The 14-year-old was killed after being shot multiple times, and he died at that scene. The other 2 victims ran away as the defendants chased after them, still shooting. One victim was hit in the arm and the other called for help. Now, Grady was arrested just 2 months later in Indiana. He was in a car with 3 others, including a kid who was driving when they were pulled over for a traffic stop. The cops smelled marijuana. He was going to search the car and asked if they had any weapons. They said they didn't, except the cops searched and found this: 2 full magazines, various 9mm rounds strewn around the car, and at least 4 handguns. One of those, a Glock 19 with a switch, meaning it was converted into a fully automatic handgun. Grady told officers the gun was for self-protection. Police have since confirmed it was used in the California Park shooting. Grady faces charges of complicity to murder, attempted murder, and assault in Jefferson County. He's in jail on a $500,000 bond tonight. Myra.
All right, thank you, Alina.
One local nonprofit has issued a call to action. They are inviting community groups, parents, and anyone else who's interested in stopping youth violence to a meeting tonight. This meeting is happening at 5:30. It's a Community Connections group on Montgomery Street. That's in the Portland neighborhood. It comes during a week where 4 kids were shot, including an 8-year-old and a 17-year-old who was the captain of the Moore soccer team. We have a crew heading to the event. We will share more on their plan tonight on Wave News at 11.
New here at 5, the Seymour Fire Department has named their newest leader, ladder truck, after a child who died in a farm accident. Ladder 3 was named in honor of 4-year-old Maverick Lee Finn. He's the son of Seymour firefighter Mitchell Flynn and the grandson of the fire lieutenant. Maverick died in a farming accident in June. In light of the tragic incident, the family has created an awareness initiative known as the Maverick Minute. Its purpose is to remind farmers to pause, look around, and stay safe.
Shoppers at a Louisville Kroger may have been exposed to a case of the measles. The MMR vaccine is the best way to protect yourself. And coming up next at 5, we talk with a local pediatrician about kids who are too young to get vaccinated.
And with new bourbon tariffs on the horizon, we're going to look at how Kentucky's signature spirit is becoming more valuable for Louisville distillers. The European Union says that it will retaliate with tariffs on U.S. goods, including bourbon. It's in response to President Trump's plan to place 30% tariffs if no trade deal is reached by August 1st.
The last bourbon tariffs cost distillers millions of dollars. But Wave News reporter David Mattingly finds that bourbon's value to Louisville continues to rise.
That's right, Brian. Tariffs no doubt have a direct impact on the people who make bourbon. But here in Louisville, a place that's now being called Bourbon City, the people who drink it are still buying. At the corner of East Main and Preston, construction pauses for a toast. The moment celebrates the arrival of Whistlepig. The distiller from Vermont is setting up shop in an old bank building to elevate its profile among Bourbon City's thirsty visitors.
So we saw an opportunity here, especially with this bank, to not only save a Louisville landmark, but also to join, sort of greater American whiskey culture. I mean, what better place than Louisville?
In 2024, the Urban Bourbon Trail tracked nearly 1 million visitors to Louisville locations. 13 years ago, the city had just one bourbon attraction. By 2026, there will be 25.
25 new bourbon attractions. There is no other city in America that is investing in attractions at the rate we are here in Bourbon City.
The local success comes at a time of uncertainty in bourbon's global markets. During the last trade war, EU tariffs on bourbon drove sales down 20%. When the tariffs were lifted, sales jumped 60%. So the threat of big new EU tariffs stirs up more than just bad memories.
It would be crushing, but not only crushing to our great Kentucky distillers, but the agriculture community. We start from grain to glass, to our distributor partners, our retail partners, and even bartenders.
But for bourbon fans in Bourbon City, life looks good. This video is one example of how Louisville tourism is pushing the image hard to potential tourists of a cool place with a cool spirit.
We have a great culinary scene, we have other iconic attractions, but bourbon is still that one differentiating point that sets us apart from our competition.
The deadline for a trade agreement with the EU is August 1st. The Distilled Spirits Council of the United States is hoping for an eventual return to the days when there were no tariffs on both sides of the Atlantic. David Mattingly, Wave News.
All right, thank you, David. New here at 5 o'clock in that area, the Main Street and Story Avenue intersection in the Nulu area. It's now back open. This follows weeks of construction work in the area. The reopening includes new and improved enhancements to make it safer and more accessible. Changes include the removal of the divider island, new traffic lights, wider sidewalks, and the addition of new bike lanes. The upgrades also include the beginning of the Main Street two-way conversion. But because of all this rain, crews have had to put down temporary striping marks.
Buddy the Bat was one of dozens who showed up to celebrate the opening of the new Nothing But Cake. We're going to tell you how buying a cake can help one local organization.
Well, we're tracking flash flooding across the area. Heavy rain moving back in. What you need to know is to head out this evening if you're headed out, and what you need to know for the next 10 days. We've got the earliest alert when we come back.
Well, Kevin told us that today was going to be an alert day, and you can see why just taking a look from our storm tracker out there on the roads. Kind of a mess today.
Yeah, right now he is driving in Indiana, heading over to a possible situation there. You can see what the windshield looks like. So let's bring Kevin into the mix here. You've been
I was going to say we'll keep that up from the storm tracker. I wanted to show that. The fact is they've had heavy rain over the last 2 hours in southern Indiana. This is Charlestown he's headed to. He'll exit off here in a minute off the Lee Hamilton onto State Road 62. In Charlestown, 2 cars cars were submerged partially underwater. So fire EMS on the scene there. We'll see if they're still there. The thing with flash flooding is it comes and goes so quickly, and that's why you just have to be sort of nimble with it and make sure you get to higher ground. Look at the junction jammed with tail lights, rain starting to fall downtown. This is heavy rain that's moving in. It's why we've had the alert day in place, and we'll keep it until 7. May have to extend it past that and may have to add a couple more days down the line to it. Again, between 7 o'clock now and 7 o'clock, we've got these clusters of showers and thunderstorms, mainly heavy rain, tremendous amount of lightning with these storms, and that's what we've seen throughout the afternoon, even a few with some strong wind gusts. We've had one warning, and that was for Jefferson County. That was just a couple of hours ago. Between now and 7, the heaviest of the downpours will be moving through. That's where we have the greatest flash flooding concern. Between 7 p.m. and midnight, the heaviest rainfall rates will begin to decrease, and then only isolated downpours expected overnight tonight. So things will be getting better. We're sort of in the heart of this between now and about 7 o'clock. Our rain chances tomorrow will show that 40% chance in the early morning hours, a little bit of a lull into the afternoon, and then we'll bring it back up during the evening hours. So we're still seeing those decent rain chances for Friday and even for parts of the weekend. I'll have the complete 10-day here in a second. Let's get outside. That heavy rain starting to move into the city. We will continue to see that rain slow the travelers down. Temperatures have been all over the place today. Up and down, up and down. We're at 78 now. We were in the 80s, upper 80s, fell back. I mean, it's just been a constant push and pull on the temperature with these outflow boundaries moving through that temporarily cool us down and then trigger the heavy downpours. That's what we've seen across the area. Places like Campbellsville are like, hey, what rain? We haven't had any. And they haven't. We've seen a lot of rain across parts of southern Indiana. Some areas have had more than a couple of inches of rain so far today. When you look at the alerts that we have, the flood watch is in place, but we also have flash flood warnings for some areas just north of Louisville. The heavy rain I speak of that's moving in is traveling right along 64, pushing into the city. On this, you can see heavy rain still falling in Charlestown, parts of Clark County. I added the lightning, and I'll put the details of the flash flood warning in place technically until 7:45. I'll enhance the lightning so you can see just how much there is, including downtown, but all of these storms will contain lightning and a lot of it. This stretches across southern Washington County into Lawrence, northern Orange, back over into Du Bois County. We'll get back across the river. You get into Meade County, Breckinridge County. Likewise, lightning with those storms. This will be moving into the Louisville area, and we will likely see additional heavy rain. That could prompt additional flash flooding as this moves through. Take it a couple of hours, and then it'll be out of here. This frontal boundary is nearby, and we knew it would get close enough to us to cause a few problems today. It's why we have the alert day in place. 78 our current temperature, winds out of the east and northeast. The flood watch until midnight. Periods of storms and that flash flooding risk a real threat for us. 75 for our low tonight. Tomorrow's Friday. Comes in with that morning shower chance and then a few thunderstorms later in the afternoon and evening, as I pointed out. 88 for tomorrow's high. In that 10-day earliest alert, I'll walk you through it. While we have daily rain chances, you can see the highest coming in at 60% for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then a bit more scattered early next week. We're still in the low 90s. We dry it out just a bit next week, but it's still somewhat unsettled. The drier days or the hotter days with temperatures just about in the 90s every day. The exception is when we have the highest of the rain chances.
Yeah, the rain was coming down so hard at one point today. The visibility was like nothing out there.
Yeah, and you can really hear it on this roof, too, can't you?
Yeah.
It's like, oof.
Is it going to fall through?
Yeah. It's big mic up there.
Surprised you haven't done that.
Yeah, right. Next time. Sounds like a good live shot for you.
There we go. All right. Thanks, Kevin. To some positive news here now. Nothing Bundt Cakes marked the opening of their new location here in Louisville. The company cut the ribbon at the grand opening of its Okolona Bakery. It's located at 4424 Outer Loop. It's the 4th location in Kentucky. The specialty cake chain is known for their Bundt Cakes that come in an assortment of flavors. We talked to the owner, who says there is something for everyone inside the shop.
We've got some retail items that help support any celebration you've got for work, for family, whatever it is you need for a celebration. Come to us, and we've got 11 different flavors of cake, different sizes, so I think we can match any need that you have.
To celebrate the opening, Nothing But Cakes is giving back with a special partnership day tomorrow. 20% of their sales will be donated to support youth mentoring programs at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kentuckiana.
President Trump is facing some pushback from some Republicans about releasing the Epstein files. You're going to hear from MAGA supporters who are going against the president's wishes. President Trump is growing increasingly frustrated with his own party as both lawmakers and right-wing influencers call for the release of the Epstein files.
But the calls keep growing even though the president now wants to move on from that subject. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell has more from Washington.
Today, more drama around the government's Epstein files. President Trump trying to move on, showing frustration at his own supporters who demand more transparency on the sex trafficking case.
It's a disgrace, and I remember every one of these guys. They're my supporters.
Some supporters resisting the president's direction.
If you talk about this, I'm going to excommunicate you. Well, you're not the Pope, bro.
I feel like Trump thinks his base is stupid.
Bringing this into the public arena was President Trump. That's a matter of historic record.
MAGA world has long wanted the Epstein files released. Former Trump advisor and Doge leader Elon Musk weighing in on his X platform, amplifying those angry fires, asking, where did the evidence against Epstein go? Where's phase 2? But a prime target of this ire appears to be Attorney General Pam Bondi, who released a memo this month explaining nothing further would be released, stating the convicted sex offender, Epstein, did not leave behind a client list, confirming Epstein did in fact kill himself in custody, contrary to conspiracy theories that for years were spread by right-wing influencers and media. The president standing by Bondi.
I think she's doing a great job.
But it's not just MAGA supporters calling to release the files. Some mainstream Republican lawmakers do too.
And why don't we just release it and deal with it?
I think it's very important that America knows what's going on. I'm big on transparency.
The president has said he would support the release of any credible files, but there is no indication there's movement on that. Critics remain unsatisfied. The White House effort to move on is being tested. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC News, Washington.
Still ahead at 5:30, TARC is making some major changes to their bus schedules and routes. We're learning more about how this can impact you and how you can get around the city.
But first, LMPD is pushing out a warning to car owners, especially for a specific make, to keep an eye out for people trying to steal it. So we are detailing the new trick that these thieves are using to get inside your car.
With Alert Day coverage now, this is Wave News.
All right, well, the weather causing some major traffic problems here across Wave Country. This is our storm tracker, a live look right there as we are on State Road 62 in southern Indiana, headed to Charlestown, Indiana.
Yeah, hearing some reports of maybe some flash flooding in the area. You can see how slow the traffic is moving. Kevin Harned has been watching this for us, this exact situation specifically, and he warned us about this. That's why the Alert Day has been activated.
Yeah, and part of the problem there, you saw the flashing red lights on the stoplights. Typically would be red, green, yellow, but now everybody's having to stop. Slows you down. An indication that we could have had some power, at least flickers there. Wasn't completely out, but at least on and off. Heavy rain downtown, snarling traffic too, so I suspect this will be the case across the region for the afternoon rush. We have a lot of heavy rain and a lot of lightning pushing past. Flash flooding ongoing. We mentioned Charlestown, southern Indiana, as well as northeast Jefferson County under the flash flood warning until 7:45. This has been observed, and that just means in Charlestown we have had 2 cars that sort of were flooded out in some high water. Doesn't take long for flash flooding to recede, so whether or not it's there by the time the storm tracker gets there or not, tough thing to answer. Fact is, it's not too far away. This is the view of where it's at. Moving up to Charlestown, it's right on 62, so probably it's another 15 minutes or so with that type of traffic to go. We'll check back in and see where it's at. Here in Louisville, we have the heavy downpours downtown. downtown over the Highlands, pushing toward the airport just north of Okolona. Fern Creek, Glen Mary also seeing some heavy downpours in southeast Jefferson County. They haven't had as much rain down that way. In fact, Okolona, less than 1/10 of an inch of rain. Our rain totals closer to 1/2 an inch in Louisville, and the farther north you go, you pick up those 2-3 inch totals that we've seen, hence the flash flood warning placement. Additional heavy rain moving in with a tremendous amount of not only water, but lots of lightning. That will continue to push in over the course of the next couple of hours. Check the lightning, and you're going to want to make sure these storms pass before you resume any of those outdoor activities. Temperatures are going to be in the 70s this evening and overnight tonight. Rain chances will ease a bit, but we push them back up tomorrow, as early as tomorrow morning. We'll talk about the rest of today's alert day and what to expect in the 10-day coming up in a few.
Thanks, Kevin. Louisville public health leaders are making a push for people to make sure that they are vaccinated against measles, and it comes as the Metro confirmed its first case of the highly contagious disease earlier this week. And we learned that a child visited a local Kroger.
We've been hearing that the best way to keep your family safe is to make sure everyone's vaccinated. But what about babies who are still too young to get the shot?
Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia-Francescini spoke with a local pediatrician. He joins us now with what this doctor wants you to know.
Yeah, Myra, Brian, Dr. Kyle Sloan with Kaplan Barron Pediatrics says both doses of the MMR vaccine can provide about 97% of protection against measles. Usually, the first dose is given when the baby is between 12 and 15 months old, and then a booster follows when the child turns 4. But some parents are wondering if their kids can get the booster before their 4th birthday, and that's to increase protection. Dr. Sloan says they can only do that with a special permission from local authorities, and he says that'll only happen if there's a measles outbreak locally. He does say doctors can give the first dose before the baby is a year old, but there's something parents should know.
If we give that first shot early between 6 and 12 months, it doesn't count towards the main series, and you're still going to have to get 2 shots afterward.
As of now, there's only one confirmed measles case in Jefferson County. Officials say it's a child who was traveling internationally to a country where there is already a measles outbreak. We do know that infected child visited the little clinic located inside the Kroger on Dixie Highway and PRP on Wednesday, July 9th. People who were there between 9:15 a.m. and noon that day specifically may have been exposed to measles. If that's you, there's more information on what you need to know on wave3.com. Fernando Garcia-Francescini, Wave News.
All right, thank you, Fernando. A woman is dead after a motorcycle hits her in the St. Denis neighborhood. The accident happened just after midnight at the intersection of Cane Run Road and Coventry Commons Drive. LMPD says that the woman was hit when she was crossing Cane Run. She wasn't in the crosswalk. The woman died at the scene. The motorcyclist was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay. LMPD hasn't said if any charges will be filed in this case.
Police say thieves are finding new ways to break in and take off with your vehicle. In a new alert, police are warning owners of Dodge vehicles specifically. They say criminals will come late at night and take pictures of a vehicle's VIN number before leaving the property. Then they'll create a key to the vehicle, return, and steal your car. Police say if you see anyone lurking around in your area doing something like this, or if you happen to catch it on camera, you should report it. You can do that by calling the non-emergency line. The number is right there on your screen, 502-574-5673. Reporting these crimes is helpful so police can be on the lookout for car thefts in those areas.
DARC is making big changes to their operations that will impact how you get around the city. They're making adjustments to their routes, their schedules, and services. And one of the biggest changes is the pickup location around the NIA Center, since DARC will end operations there. Those boarding will move near 28th and Broadway instead of in the parking lot behind the NIA Center building. DARC is also making schedule adjustments to 10 routes for more consistency and adjusting the routes for buses that ride around 4th and 6th Street. And some of their limited service buses will also be reduced. You can check out the changes on DARC's website, and these changes will go into effect on August 3rd.
President Trump underwent a medical exam after swelling in his legs and bruises to his hand. We're hearing about what doctors say is the cause.
And a local Little League is making a comeback and making a difference in the lives of kids in Southwest Louisville. We're going to hear how they're doing it next.
As Wave celebrates America's 250th anniversary next year, we are looking back at what happened on this day in history. On July 17th, 1996, the Louisville Slugger Museum opened for the first time. The museum and factory celebrates the role that Louisville Slugger baseball bats have played for decades. The museum went through major renovations that started in 2008, wrapped up in 2023. So if you haven't been in a while, this could be the perfect time to check them out.
Well, we're excited about this. Tonight we have the pleasure to kick off a new segment we call What's Good. So we have a lot to celebrate in Wave Country, but you have to let us know about it.
Yeah, not after it happens either. Let us know in time so that we can get out there and help spread this good news. So we do it often, but too often the good news slips through the cracks, and many people in Wave Country miss it.
Yeah, they do. Wave News anchor Don G gives us a look tonight at What's Good.
The whole world knew the good news of a little team in southwest Louisville that defeated the Sendai Higashi Little League of Sendai, Japan. That was in 2002. It seemed the excitement would last forever, but in life, nothing does. But sometimes when we work hard enough, care enough, and make enough noise, what's old is new again, and maybe just as good or better.
If you start to rebuild it.
So it's kind of like a restart, you know, it's like a renaissance where everything's kind of restarted again.
They will come.
Well, you know, over the course of 4 or 5 years, it's kind of had a rebirth, and the community has just dug in, you know, wholeheartedly.
Valley Sports American Little League, home of the 2002 Little League World Champions in Southwest Louisville, had seen better days.
The structures, they were riddled with graffiti. You know, they probably hadn't been painted in years. It was just very dull, not inviting. You know, it's not an environment that if you bring your kid up here that you'd be excited about. There was busted windows in some of the press boxes, and squirrels had just taken it over.
It looked like it had struck out.
And this was a pillar in the South End for forever, you know, for a long time. I grew up playing here. My family grew up playing here. So my childhood, my core memories, so many of them happened here.
Now, Matt Payton, former Valley sports player, now firefighter and father, was at bat and agreed to take on the role of president of the league, October 2020, right in the middle of COVID.
And my immediate response was, no way. The next day I said, hey, I'm going to do it. None of this would have been able to get accomplished without the help of everybody around here. This whole area just stepped up and just, you know, stepped up to the plate.
It wasn't just the community painting, building, and buffing that made it shine. The kids have knocked it out of the park, too.
Our first state champion last year in coach pitch, first state champion we probably had as a league, and I couldn't tell you the last time. Also had a 12-year-old softball team this year win district, and they competed at state. And as of 2 years ago, we didn't even have softball. Now we got an 11 and 12 team that has, for the first time since 2010, won district.
The team will now take a swing at the state tournament. But Peyton knows it's about more than just the win.
It's not just the game. It's learning how to be a good person when they get done playing the game. It's not necessarily about your kid becoming the best baseball player or the best softball player. It's about the attributes you can learn that the game teaches.
The Valley Sports 12 and under major baseball team heads to the Kentucky State Tournament Friday evening. Their games start Saturday morning at 10. They could use any help you could give. Anyone that would like to make a last-minute donation or sponsorship, you still got time. You can also download an app to watch the team play. If you want more information, you can head to wave3.com, or you can drop off a donation. Well, before 7 o'clock tonight, that's when practice ends for the tourney. In the studio, Dawn G.
All right, thanks, Don. That's a good story. Well, so many kids, they start the school year without the supplies that they need, but you can help them, and it's so easy. Here's another good thing. Wave News, the Neighborhood Place, and Furniture Fair, we have teamed up to collect donations of new school supplies for local students. You can drop off supplies at either Furniture Fair locations now through July 30th. Your donations give local kids a great start for the new school year.
A popular Schnitzelberg Festival is making its return to the neighborhood. We're going to tell you all about the activities this year surrounding the Dainty Fest.
Now we've got our eyes on the sky and the radar. Some heavy downpours moving across the metro. Some areas experiencing some flash flooding. We'll roll you through the details that we have as we look at Clark County, Indiana, Charlestown. We know you've had a few problems over there. The creeks and streams, they're on the rise. We've got more rain to talk about with the 10-day earliest alert when we come back.
All right, well, Kevin gave us a heads up yesterday that we were going to have to deal with an alert day today, and here it is.
Yeah, we've got our storm tracker out. So we've got cameras everywhere showing what's going on. Kind of depends where you are, what you're seeing, Kevin.
Yeah, and it's a mess here in the metro because of the timing. You know, rush hour, fouling things up in a number of places. This is what's moving across. You can see the heavy moisture-laden clouds dumping a lot of rain where they are. They're not everywhere, but there are more places today than they have been. We have the alert day in place until 7 o'clock tonight. Things will be improving after that, but between now and then, we're going to continue to see these heavy downpours, the potential for the flash flooding. This evening, the rainfall rates will diminish, so that means the flash flooding threats will diminish. And then overnight, it's just an isolated chance for a downpour before we bring that chance back up by early tomorrow morning. Rain chances tomorrow, again, 40% early, and then again later in the evening tomorrow. There's a little bit of a lull in between for tomorrow afternoon. Again, that rain chance never goes to zero, so can't rule out a pop-up, but as far as the area of coverage, it looks to be highest both early and late in the day tomorrow. Let me get you outside. Here's the view from the SkyTrack camera, and you'll notice those heavy rain showers moving across the metro. That will continue pressing off to the east as they develop pretty much on top of us. 77 right now in Louisville. Areas surrounding us are in the 70s. The exception, places that haven't seen the rain off to our south. Some areas have had as much as 2 to 3 inches of rain. And you can see we have the flash flood warning out for those folks. The flood watch is in place until midnight. Let me walk you through the radar, and we'll start with looking at areas to our north. Flash flooding has already been a problem in Charlestown. We're starting to see some heavy rain pile up in parts of Washington County, Indiana. When you look at the IMPING reports sent in from people just like you through the app, you can see creeks, streets seeing some flooding. That is the case across northeast Jefferson County. New one coming in with this latest batch of rain moving into western Jefferson County. Creeks are on the rise, and there is some street flooding in places. A lot of lightning, too. Clark, Floyd, Jefferson, Oldham, all under that flash flood warning until 7:45. The latest flash flood warning for Clark, Orange, Scott, and Washington counties, all of Indiana, until 8:15. Radar indicating heavy rain continues to fall. A narrower line moves across parts of Kentucky from Meade County through Breckinridge County. That will continue sweeping off to the east as well, eventually moving into Bullitt County and areas farther to the south. Jefferson County, all the exception of J-Town and Fern Creek, Middletown, so the eastern part of the county not seeing as much right now, but that heavy rain will spread across. So we are getting some very heavy downpours here in Louisville. We'll pick up a quick half-inch to inch of rain out of this moving through, and then additional rain coming in on the back side of it. So another 2 inches of rain would be possible for us here in Louisville. This cold front to the north is culprit. Southerly winds pulling up that moisture from the Gulf out ahead of it, and with the daytime heating, we've seen these downpours develop, and once they develop, they just start developing off of one another, which is why they're sort of random in how they develop across the region. 77, the current temperature. Winds out of the northeast. We have the alert day in place. The flood watch until midnight. Periods of heavy rain. Flash flooding, the real threat. We're in the 70s overnight and highs back in the mid to upper 80s tomorrow. Rain chances early tomorrow and then again later in the late afternoon and evening. We're going to maintain the 60% rain chance through the weekend, a little more scattered through the first half of next week, and then we'll take the rain chance down to 30%. That's the lowest rain chance we've had in quite some time, so at least a little bit drier. Temperatures will stay in the 90s through the bulk of that 10-day earliest alert. So it is a hot and humid forecast with repetitive downpours likely.
Whew, that's exhausting.
You're telling me.
I feel tired for you.
Yeah. Well, it's exhausting for us because we got to lug around gear like umbrellas and things. It's exhausting for you because it's eating your whole life. It's rough.
Yeah, it's a rough life out there, Kevin.
We're going to send him off to go enjoy himself. All right. We've got an enjoyable festival to talk about now. Grab your sticks, stretch the legs. This is one of Louisville's quirkiest and most cherished traditions. If you've been, you know what we're talking about. The Dainty Contest, going on 55 years this year. It's going to take place July 26th through the 28th, hosted in the heart of Schnitzelburg. It celebrates heritage, friendly competition, and good old-fashioned fun. The World Championship Dainty Contest is for those 45 and older to test their skill at playing dainty, which is what you're seeing here on the screen. It's very hard to do. They see who can hit this thing the furthest. The festival has live music, food, drinks, all kinds of local vendors come out for it. It's a lot of fun. We'll be right back.
The White House releases an update on President Trump's health.
During a press briefing today, the White House revealed a diagnosis following a medical exam for swelling in his legs.
The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition.
And the condition is one in which valves inside certain veins don't work the way that they should. Symptoms can include swelling in the lower legs or ankles, aching in the legs, varicose veins, along with pain and skin changes. The president's physician said that the condition is common in people over 70. The president is 79. Treatment involves medication or medical procedures.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us here for Wave News at 5.
Wave News at 6 is coming up next.